Hi, this is Summer with Summer's Tips and Stitches, and for this video I will be doing a little tutorial on how to do a corner to corner. As many of you know, I just had my 1-year anniversary and I had folks enter to win a giveaway, which the winner was chosen. That was Susan Burke. And it was off of my very first video that was how to crochet with Bernat bundle. And in that I made a corner to corner blanket, and a lot of folks said, hey, can you do a tutorial on how to do the corner to corner? And I will. I'm very cautious about doing tutorials in general because I feel like you need to be careful of copyrights. You just don't want to be sued. So I thought in order to make this a little bit more exciting for those who maybe already know how to do corner to corners and don't want to watch a video, I thought I would use a different hook every few stitches so that you can see how the different hooks work. And maybe I would talk about the differences I feel when I switch from hook to hook. The first hook I have here, which won't necessarily be the first hook I use, this is that interchangeable set I ordered off of Etsy. Now it turns out I got very lucky and this guy was clearancing them out because nobody was buying them. Ooh. So regular price, apparently, these can be $50 for the full set. And he was clearancing it out for $30. And they come with two beautiful handles. I have this one and a wood one. And it comes with, I want to say, like 4 or 5 of these nice mid-size ones. And you just pop it in. Weight-wise, it's very nice, but I will say I don't ever use hooks with this. I want to say they're inlines. And so this causes difficulty in my crocheting. The next hook I have that I'll be using is my Tulip. I ordered this off of a set from Amazon. It came with a full set. I want to say like a 3, possibly 3/5 up to a J. And it was approximately $40. I'll put a link in the description if I can find it for this. Also, I'll be using a Clover Amour. These two are tied almost for my favorite hooks. As you can see, this hook is very well used. And it does, you can't see there, it has suffered some nicking. Possibly because my child maybe put it in his mouth. He has ruined a few hooks. And then also I just got this hook from Tara Lynn. I have not used Boys Ergonomics before. I just used the J, which I brought over here because I wanted to talk about the difference between these two hooks. And so I'll try this out. This is a Boy Ergonomic and she got this at Walmart. And then the final hook is the wonderful set that you can get off of Amazon. They're ergonomics, and yes, this is exactly how they typically come out with how they look. It looks very similar to the Clovers, but as you can see, this pad is a little different. And actually, you guys, this is not the true H, because the H that I had before, and you can see is kind of happening here, was loosening and pulled off, and I ended up covering the H hook that I got with that set. I ended up covering it in the polymer clay. So this is actually the H hook in the polymer clay, and I could probably use this too in the video, but I would like to say that this is not easy for me to crochet with at all. So I thought just to give the handle a little bit of a chance, I would use that, and then if you want, just for the size sake. Okay, so these are the hooks. I'll have them all lined up here for you all to look at while I'm crocheting, if you are someone that already knows corner to corner and are just watching this for hook information. The yarn I'm going to be using to do this corner to corner is Vanna Choice Lions brand. And when I want to make a corner to corner blanket, I don't necessarily use a pattern. I just do the corner to corner. So when it comes to knowing what size and what hook to do, you can refer to the information on the ball band. This is a medium 4 worsted weighted yarn, and it recommends a J hook. I am not going to be using a J hook. As you can see, I've got all my H's. The reason I'm not is because I will be using this as a baby blanket for a friend. And I feel like baby blankets should be as tightly, the stitches should be as tight as possible, because sometimes their little fingers and toes can get stuck in them. I'm going to start with my clover because this is my favorite. I don't know, it was just right there. So in order to start a corner to corner, you are going to obviously start with a slip knot and chain up 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Typically in blankets, you chain up the width or the length of the blanket, but the corner to corner grows in diagonal blocks. So at this point, we're not concerned with how big you're making your blanket. We're just making the individual blocks and connecting them. I will not be making a full-size blanket, obviously. I only have a room for about 20 to 30 minutes on this camera of videos, so I will be making a small swatch, but you will be able to take these techniques and transfer them into making your corner-to-corner blanket. Okay, so after you've chained up 6, you now go into the third hook, or the third stitch. So you go 1, 2, 3. Kind of turn your work to the side. You're going to do a double crochet into that stitch. Now it looks like you have your bit of chain right here and a double crochet. And then you're going to do 2 more, 1 in each of the remaining stitches. That's 2. And that's 3. Now you have your first little block. There it is. Now this is where it got confusing to me when I was reading the pattern. You are going to turn, and I've heard that you should always turn in the same direction for the project. Just in case you feel like knowing that, I shared it. Now you're going to chain up 6. 1, 2, 3. If you're working with a fuzzy or a bulky yarn, it's nice to hold your finger here because sometimes it's hard to find that third stitch. And now you know that it's here, but otherwise 4, 5, 6. Now you're going to turn your work sideways because we're going back into this stitch here with the double crochet. Yarn over, do your double crochet. Do another double crochet in that next stitch, and then finally there's your third. Here you go. Now you have this little block off of here hanging off of this block over here. Technically, according to the pattern I'd read, this was considered row 1 and this is considered row 2. Now we need to connect this block to this block. So you come over here to where this was our chain, that first chain 3, and you poke your hook into it anywhere. You don't have to necessarily tuck it into the stitches. It's just in this area. And you do a slip stitch. And now you have 2 blocks sitting next to each other. This block is going this way, and this block is going this way. Now, you're only going to chain up 3. That is your first stitch, if you will. And now you're going to put 3 more double crochets in that little area. See that? So we got 1, 2, and 3. Okay. That is the second row completed of your corner to corner. If you were a blanket and you were holding it like a rectangle or a square, here it is, right here. Okay, now I'm going to take out my clover. The things I like so much about my clover is that it's a very soft but firm handle. And the shaft of this is fairly smooth, and I really do love the head shape. If we can get it to focus on there. I just love that rounded head shape, and you see how it's like curved here? So it does not get caught in the yarn and it doesn't split. Okay, So now I'm going to pick up and use my boy. The first thing I notice about the boy is the weight of it is a little heavier. The handle feels very similar to the handle of my clover. It's soft, but a firm plastic, and it is not sticky. The head or the shaft seems to be equally smooth, and the head is very similar to the head of my clover. Do you see that? Okay, so now we're going to do row 3. Let me focus again for you. Of the corner to corner. So you're going to turn your work, chain up 6 because we're starting a new row. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now you are going to go 1, 2, 3 into this third stitch with a double crochet. Whoops, I missed it. 1, 2, and 3. Okay, now you've got your block, and now we got to connect this block to this little block here. So again, we go right into that underneath that chain, and we slip stitch it to the corner of it. Now we're ready to do the second block of our third row. So we chain up 3. 1, 2, whoops, my tension got a little wonky there. 3. And then we're going to do 3 more double crochets under this chain 3 bar. 1, 2, oops, and 3. I will say the difference I feel with this hook compared to the clover, is this part has a little bit more weight, and so because I've just switched from one hook to the other, I feel like I have to kind of like fight to hold it up because I hold my crochet hook, as you can see, like a pencil. Okay, so we're going to connect our second block to our other block, and you do that with a slip stitch. Now you're going to chain up 3. When you're doing the inside of your blanket, you only chain up 3. When you're doing the outsides, you chain up 6. Okay, now we're going to put, as you probably guessed, 3 double crochets under this chain 3 bar. This pattern is really nice to use if you're making a big fuzzy blanket with those fuzzy yarns, because you're not searching for each individual stitch. Those fuzzier blank yarns are harder to find the stitches, and because you're crocheting around those bars, you don't have to look for the stitch, and this is a great blanket to use those kind of yarns with. Pardon me. Okay, now we're going to turn our work, flip her over. We are going to do the 4th row. This is 1, that's 2, that's 3. And because we're on the outside, we are chaining up 6. 1, 2, 3. I put my hand on here just because out of habit. 4, 5, 6. And now we kind of rotate our work a little bit and put a double crochet into that 3rd stitch. 1, 2, and 3. Now we need to connect this block to this one here, and we do that with a slip stitch under that chain 3 from the previous block. Here we are. Now we chain up 3. Yarn over, back 3 under that chain 3 bar. After I show you how to stop growing this, I will show you a different way that Mikey showed us in a video, if you have not seen that. We're going to connect these 2 blocks with a slip stitch and then chain up 3. Ooh, I've got a little bit of splitting there. So I chained up 3. Now I'm going to put 3 slip stitches across that chain 1 bar. Or three double crochets, I mean. 1, 2, whoops, 2, and 3. And then you are going to connect with your slip stitch, chain up 3, 1, 2, 3, and then you're going to do the last block in this row. Sorry, 1. You're going to do 3 double crochets under that bar, 2, 3. Now I fully do recognize that this would look very nice with an I or a J hook, but like I said, I want this for a baby, so I like, even though these seem to be pretty big block holes, don't they? Okay, so now I'm going to switch to a new hook before we do our 1, 2, 3, 4, our 5th row. Okay, so pull that out. And I'm going to use the interchangeable set. Now, in general, I really do like this. I will say this hook is heavier. It's even heavier than the boy. And the boy is heavier than the clover. So if a heavy hook is for something that's hard for you, I would not suggest this. Turn your work, chain up 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Do you see how much harder it is for me to crochet with this? Okay, 6. So I've got to go 1, 2, 3 to do my first double crochet in that 3rd chain. 1, 2. Look at my yarn. I think I'm going to switch to knife holding. 2. And 3. Holy cats, is that slow. Okay, now I'm going to switch. I'm going to connect this block to that block with a slip stitch. I'm going to be honest, I just have such a hard time with that. My yarn is, let's take a look at this head. My yarn is just getting caught on that sharpness. Do you see that? Versus how the other one was kind of curved under. And I'm having a hard time. Plus, with this being heavy, and then I hold like a pencil, usually here, I'm having a difficult time with this hook. And I'm going to tell you what, friends, it is slippery. It does not have that catch. Okay, so we're chaining up 3. And you're going to do 3 double crochets in there. This is the last row I'm going to show you before I start talking about how to stop growing, if you will, making your corner to corner bigger. That's 2 and a 3. I'll maybe do one more block with this hook and then I'll switch to another. And then you're going to connect that to the other block with a slip stitch and chain up 3, 2, 3. Maybe if I hold it like this, I'm doing better. Okay, 3 double crochets on, under and around, if you will, that chain 3. 1, 2, and 3. Okay. Okay, I'm switching, putting out the interchangeable. Did I do the tulip yet? I don't think so. Now, this tulip is very light. The handle is very soft with just a little bit of grip, and it's firm enough that you don't feel like you're squeezing just a little pillow, and it is very light. The one difference between the tulip and the Clover Amour is the shaft here is very smooth. It is very slippery. And then here's the head. Let's see if I can get it, the hook. It also is curved in, not focusing. There we go, isn't that beautiful? Very much like the clover head. And do you see how it's curved under? Kind of like how that other one wasn't, and so the yarn was getting caught on it. Okay, let's connect this block with that block with a slip stitch and chain up 3. 3 double crochets around that chain 3 bar. And then connect this block with a slip stitch. Chain up 3. 1, 2, 3. 3 double crochets around that crochet or that chain 3 bar. Do you see how this tulip just flies? Holy cats. If you're watching a video and you're just doing double crochets across, not doing a pattern, this is the hook for you. You will just fly right through your work. Okay, so this is how this looks. Now just pretend this is a little tiny blanket, okay? I love the tulip. I almost want to just keep crocheting with it, but because we're nearing to the end of this tutorial, I want to switch. This is the hook that I got from Amazon. It came with a set of, like, you know, the basic E through J's and ergonomic. I will tell you that this handle for me, and maybe it's just mine or that are old, are stickier. But it does not go it slides around. So I don't know if, and as you can see, it's breaking through. I believe it or not, I used these a fair bit, probably a year or more before I bought my clovers, started buying my clovers. And then I bought my clovers one at a time. I did not buy a big set. So some of these have more wear and tear than the others. And it is kind of peeling away. And then, like I said, the H came right out of its little sleeve and I ended up claying it. Okay, so I turned my work. Because you're on the outside, you would typically, you're going to chain up 6. But I am going to stop growing my width, okay? So when you've decided you've got your blanket wide enough, this is what you do. Rather than chain up 6, you crochet a slip stitch into each of those stitches. You see them? There's 1, 2, and then in that bar. You do not do anything in that one there. You see that one? Skip it. So a slip stitch into there, blop blop. Or as Mikey says, pull through and through. Put a slip stitch in there, blop blop. That's 2, and put a slip stitch in there. There you go. Oh, that one's split. Okay. Now you're turning your work this way. This is as wide as you're going to get. You're not putting any more blocks off that way. And you are going to chain up 3. Okay, don't be confused to chain up 6. You're not doing that because you're not going out this way. You're going up now. And then you're going to do 3 double crochets under that chain 3 bar. 1, 2, and 3. Oops. And then link those 2 blocks together with a slip stitch and chain up 3. And 3 double crochets under that bar. You continue the rest of this the same. There we go. Link this one to this one with a slip stitch. Chain up 3. 1, 2, 3. I know you can't obviously feel this, but I'm going to say I can feel a slight, I don't want to say a tremor, that sounds ridiculous, but I can feel the head of this hook whenever it pulls through the loop. It kind of shakes a little bit. Not a big deal, obviously, it's not going to cause me hand pain, but I'm just pointing out the differences between when I'm using one of these, like the clover or the tulip, and when it goes through. I do not feel the head pull through the chains. It just slides right through seamlessly. Okay, I'm in my next block. Okay, there we go. You're going to link to here. I'm going to show you this row how to keep growing this way even though I stopped over here. Okay, so we're not making our blanket any wider, but we are going to make it taller on this row. So chain up 3, 2, 3, and again 3 double crochets around that bar. My yarn is not sliding through my yarn bowl as nicely as I'd like it. Okay, turn your work, and here we are going to chain up 6 because we are making this blanket taller. And 1, 2, 3, double crochet into that third stitch. 1, 2, and 3. Here's this block. We're going to bring it over to connect to this block with a slip stitch, and then chain up 3. Okay, again, all the way down we are going to be double crocheting 3 stitches. Get a bit more yarn here, apparently I'm having trouble with that. 3 stitches around each of those chain 3 bars. Okay, do I have a new hook to use? Okay, I will switch right now to the polymer clay one. Now, I know that a lot of folks sell super gorgeous polymer clay crochet hooks on Etsy, and I, for a while, was really tempted to buy one. 1, 2, 3. But I bought the polymer clay myself, and I decided, you know what, I'm just going to see what I can do. Turns out I have zero artistic ability in the polymer clay situation, as you will see. This is actually the H hook that came with that set, but I covered it in clay. And I scratched a little H there so that I could remember that that was the H. And I basically just tried to do like a camo print, but looks horrible. And then I actually tried to put right in here, and you can't really see very well, a little nudge, a little indentations for my fingers, because I know I hold it like a pencil. My first mistake was I made my shaft very small, if you can see that. Oop. So I cannot do like a popcorn stitch on here. 1, 2, 3. I can barely chain. Let's do 3 doubles around that chain 3. And it's soft, it's very slippery, the hook. Ugh. See, I can't use it. It's very slippery, the polymer clay. So my fingers slide around on it, and it does not stay in my little nubs that I created for myself. Okay, slip stitch to the top of this. Now we are to the edge. And this is the edge that we were not growing. This is our width, and this is our height. So you turn your work. Now this way you are going to slip stitch 1, 2, 3, 4 times into the side. So you're moving your yarn along the edge so that you can get back up here where you need to be for your chain 3. See that? Uh-oh. Split the yarn. And a slip stitch into underneath your bar, your chain 3 bar, and now you turn your work. Do you see how we did this? This is what your edge is going to look like. You're going to have those slip stitches every other row. And now we're going to chain up 3. 1, 2, 3, and do 3 double crochets around that chain 3 bar. So if you're going to do a polymer clay hook, and I suggest if you have old hooks that you don't want anymore, that's a fun thing to do, but keep in mind you need to give yourself a bigger area right here. Make sure again that you label it somehow so you remember what size hook it is. And then remember that this is very slippy. It doesn't have the catch that these foam ones do, and so if your fingers will slip around. Getting rid of this one. I'll go back to the boy because I haven't really used it very much to know how much I love it or hate it. Okay, so slip stitch to your next block, chain 3, and then 3 double crochets along this chain 3 bar. 2, 3. Now I am going to stop making this blanket taller so that you can see how that goes, because we're getting to 29:45 and I don't have that much more time on my memory of my phone. I'm not using my fancy dancy camera because that is really hard and I don't enjoy it. I need more work on using that. 1, 2, 3 double crochets around that bar. And now hook it with a slip stitch to there. Now here we go. This is like a doll blanket for a Barbie house. One of the girls in my daycare can't say her R's, so she always says Bobbies. Okay, so here is the the width, and this is my height. I have decided that I am not going to make this any taller. So, friends, this is it. I'm going to turn. I'm not going to do anything over here because I'm not making it taller. I turn, and I am going to slip stitch into each of these little stitches from the top of there all the way up to where my chain 3 bar is. And there it is. Now my blanket can't get any taller, it can't get any wider, and I'm on my way to decrease. But you still have to hold it this way because you're going to chain 3 up. I hope you were thinking 3, not 6. 3 double crochets around this bar. That's 2 and 3. I'll tell you something interesting, folks. Slip stitch this to connect these. After moving from my clover to my boy was difficult for me, but moving from my boy, from this hot mess that I have going on, the boy seems like a dream. Okay, so 3 double crochets around this bar. That's 2 and 3. And then slip stitch to the next block. There we are. Chain up 3. The thing I also really like about this pattern is when it comes to weaving in your ends, it's so nice because you can hide them under these 3 double crochets underneath. You can just slide it through. It's really nice. I love it when patterns have shells or a bunch of stitches around one because they're great places for tucking in your ends. 2 and 3 double crochets and then slip stitch it. Okay, there it is. There, I'm at the corner. I'm going to turn it and I'm going to slip stitch into each of those stitches to travel my yarn up to the top. There we go. And then chain 3 because I'm going over this way. Now I feel like you pretty much have got the idea of what you're going to do. I really do. There's nothing else that you need to learn to do this corner to corner. I do have another video